What is going on, y'all? Welcome to the Joel Friday TV podcast. I am Joel Friday. Bienvenido. Welcome to the show. Amazing stuff. Do me a favor before we get started. You know what you got to do. Hit that like button, smack it, lay the smack down on the like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up and the message out. Do it now. You still got time. As you guys know, we are live on YouTube and on IG. So tell your peeps too. We are live on YouTube and on IG. I'll make sure I'm center. So what's up IG? What's up YouTube? It is a talk show. So you guys can call in at any point at 888-775-3773. So not only do we have a live chat going on IG and on YouTube, but you can also call in with your question or comments or whatever you want to talk about by calling 888-775-3773 at any point during the show. And we can get into some stuff. And if for whatever reason you cannot call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV and do a donut thing. And if that's too complicated, you can go directly to YouTube, hit the super chat button, and from there you can send your question or comments and I will read them live on air. You have those options. The links are in the description. And I usually try to read them right as they come in the best that I can so we can have some fun. Amazing stuff. Jalen, oops, I doxed him. Says, I'm the king of the IG chat. Hi, Joel. Happy Earth Day. What's up, man? Right on. Just keep a cap on it. Keep a lid on it. And you seem to have been so far, so I appreciate it. Amazing stuff. We live, and we got some stuff to get into, boy. We realized some stuff over the weekend. Oh, man. We got to get into it. I got some stuff I want to show you guys, some stuff I want to talk about. You guys see the thumbnail. And, man, you know I got to get into the women's and men issues. You know I got to get into them. It ain't Joel Friday TV podcast if I don't talk about men and women. So we're going to get into it today. What is your drug of choice is what I want to talk about. What is your drug of choice? So it's just funny because I think that this is what I think. This is what I believe. I was realizing some stuff over the weekend because I was talking to a friend of mine, happens to be a woman. And I was talking to her, and then I realized some things through our conversation. And I appreciate it. Shout out to my friend. By the way, Freely sends a super chat right out the gate. Joel Friday, he black. Love your show. I appreciate that, Freely. Amazing stuff. I'm glad that you enjoyed the show. Terry, stop trolling. Stop trolling, Terry. But yeah, shout out to my friend. And she helped me realize something that was interesting. Or like realize like deeper, right? Like really like understand it more, right? Because I've heard it before, but understand it more. And my question is to the folks watching, what is your drug of choice? And what I realize is that guys' drug of choice, oftentimes, right? Generally speaking, but you know, it could change or it may be different. But oftentimes, the guy's drug of choice is sex. Sorry, kids. And girls' drug of choice is control. And I realized this even more. And I have some examples I want to show you guys because I realized that guys' drug of choice is the sex. Girls' drug of choice is control. And I was just thinking like, because we live in a time right now, where we see a lot of girls showing their skin, and guys like chasing that and chasing, guys, wanting to get involved, and but girls showing a lot. And I was thinking about like, oh, that's interesting, because I had the impression that when a girl shows what she got, right? When a girl shows what she got, I'm showing a pic here for the people who are only listening. When the girl shows what she's got, I thought that meant like, oh, like, she might be asking for a little something, right? Like she might be like in heat, to keep it appropriate. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. But I realized that that's not the case. And guys will see this type of photos like this, and then, it's like guys go crazy. We have that eye, and, depending on the control the guy has, meaning like his awareness of how he's feeling and what he's seeing, it all depends on his awareness and how far he'll go or whatever, right? But we see this, and then we're thinking like one thing, right? We're thinking like, she looks good, right? And we want that for ourselves. We tend to take action. We go out our way to make it happen, because in our minds, in our simple minds as men, we're just trying to add 1 + 1. And in our minds, we're thinking 1, and how we're thinking this picture, we're thinking that's 1, and we're just trying to add the 2 together and make it 2, right? That's just how our simple minds are thinking. But in reality, just so you guys can see, in reality, where'd I go? Oh, I know why. I'm coming back. In reality, the whole thing is that that's just not how the woman's brain works. And I thought that, well, because they're showing off, then that means that they're like, it's like a mating call. Like, I want to mate. It's not what that means. They just like to control. And it's not even that the women is really even into the sex like that in general, right? She don't even care about the guy. It doesn't even matter about the guy that she's trying to attract or the attention she's trying to attract. She just wants the control of it, right? And I thought that was so interesting. But then I started thinking about, what about the guys? Why do guys chase the sex? Because, back to my point real quick, is that girls' mind are not that simple. They're not just like, oh, okay, well, I want to show this off so I can, I'm trying to be appropriate, make it happen. It's not working like that for them. It's a little bit more of a game for them. It's a little bit more about control and being able to do certain things, right? Just the thrill of it. When guys chase it, now I'm gonna show you guys real quick, and then we're gonna really get into the topic. The guys chase the sex. Sorry, kids. Guys are chasing the sex, right? And they have all these women, right? And then they have they're ladies, men, and then they have this desire to have a bunch of women, and then they love it when the other women agree that it's okay, or all these things, right? That's what they're chasing. But it's not even, the man doesn't even really want the woman. He's not chasing her. He doesn't want her. He's chasing the fantasy, right? The imagination. Because guess what? What happens after the guy gets the fantasy? What happens after the guy gets the fantasy? He's done with it. He's over it. He ain't involved. He's gone. And then that's what makes the women mad and upset and resentful, because they're like, I thought, But in reality, women didn't even think either. They just wanted to control. And then when their feelings got hurt, then it became, well, you're such a bad guy. What's wrong with you? But they were never really in it for that reason in the first place. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I may have some details off here, but that's why we have you can call in and have your disagreements, you know? But call in if you have some disagreements or you want to talk about it, but that's really it is. And what both of them really care about, the man is the girl is looking for attention, looking for the wanting to control, right? She's wanting to control. And she's not really too much into the sex, but she thinks she looks good, and because she looks good, she wants to show it off a little bit, and she loves to have the guys in the DM. It makes her feel good, right? But she don't care about none of the guys, and the guys want the sex, and they want all the girls, and they want to have the desire, all their desires met, and they don't care about the girl either. Both people are only hooked to the feeling that both of those things bring. They're just hooked to the feeling. We're just hooked to the feeling. Men are just hooked to the feeling. And in our minds, and this is why men lose. It's why men lose, because in our minds, we think 1 + 1 is 2, and let's make it happen. Let's do the math and get it going. We're not thinking about no game. We're not thinking about no effort, work. I'm attracted to you. You look good. You're showing that you're attractive. You're calling me. You're baiting me. Let's make it happen. But that's not the case for the ladies. Ladies don't do it like that. But that's just the cat and mouse game of human nature that will be here until the end of time. Whether it's wrong or right, it's going to be here, right? And there are those who are overcoming, right, and trying to give up the games. But I want to talk about it because also Sean says his drug of choice is bagels from New York and New Jersey. I heard bagels out there, none compared to here. I don't know, because a bagel to me out here just tastes like a regular piece of bread and it don't stand out. But Sean says the bagels are the real deal over there. And I have no reason to doubt them. But anyway. Linean Chin says, women are there for the emotional high of being the center of attention. They adore its penetration. Oh, I disavow every form of attention as sign of their worth. It's empty vanity, aka pride, which is hate. I appreciate that, Linean Chin, and I cannot disagree. I will say that those words that you're using are going to tick the ladies off. They're very misogynistic words, Linean Chin. Frederick says, but they can always work on themselves. But I appreciate Linean Chin. Right on. And I don't disagree at all. It's all for the thrill. But another thing I realize is that guys love to call girls sluts. I'm sorry, kids. We're going in today. I'm sorry, but this is sexual education. And girls love to call guys dogs. Love it. Guys love to call the girls a slut, and girls love to call the guys a dog. Why? Well, why? And then I was thinking about how because guys cheat. Guys cheat. Guys will get a girl and they'll say they like the girl and say all the right words and say they're committed, but then their wandering eye, their fantasy, their imagination goes wild. They see another girl with a different shape, different desires come with that, and then they want to get that one too. So guys cheat. And when you're not married, it's not really cheating in the first place. For one, if you're not married, everyone's a friend. But obviously we're caught up in these ties, these ideas of these categories of boyfriend and girlfriend and all that stuff. But anyway, but guys tend to do that. Guys tend to have multiple women. So then girls love to call them the dogs, but guys love to call the girls the sluts because the girls will be in a relationship as well. The girls will be in a relationship as well and still dress very promiscuously. And for the attention of public, whether it be for the attention of women being jealous of them, the attention of guys looking at them, they're still dressing in a way for the attention because they look good. They still want to show it off, even if they have a boyfriend, significant other. In some cases, marriages, they'll still do it, and it's disrespectful, right? It's disrespectful to the husband, but that's the case. So guys oftentimes are fighting over these women in relationships, all over. They're fighting, killing each other over women. This is historic. This is not just today. This is historic. This has been a thing where men back in the olden days killed each other over women. The issue at hand, among others, but the big issue at hand was for the woman, was over the woman. So the women are called those things because they are not quote unquote loyal or whatever. But both are in it for the wrong reasons. Both people are in it for the wrong reasons. Both doing it selfishly, both doing it for the ego, and both not really caring about the truth. And what I realize is that and then I'm going to get to some calls. I'm going to get to a call. Is that women are not evil and are not sluts. And men are not dogs, dirty dogs, hounds, whatever the names are. Men and women aren't those things. Men and women are just lost. We're all just lost. And I know that sounds like the cliche answer, like the cop-out answer. And I know that we don't want that to be the case. We want to fight and point the finger and say that it's the woman's fault or it's the man's fault. But we're just lost people. We're just lost people. Blind. And even if you're waking up, see, here's the trick too that Satan loves to use, the enemy on the mind. Even if you're waking up, you still have blind spots. They still are there and they still exist. And still sometimes you may go unconscious. But thank God that we understand awareness, so we can recognize it and not judge ourselves for it. But there's still blind spots. At least I don't know what it's like for you as you're waking up and learning. But for me, there's still blind spots sometimes. And this is why it's wrong to resent. And I'm going to take a call and then I'm going to finish up why it's wrong to resent and what happens. What I also learned over the weekend about resentment and what men and women are really looking for. But let me take a call because we got a caller here waiting. You guys can call in 888-775-3773. You can call in. We can chat. Let me know what you think. Share your thoughts with Joel Friday. Joel selling gym memberships like a mug today. I had to show you guys those pics. I know that they weren't helpful to the guys. They did not, maybe, and to the husbands either that I watched. It was not helpful. But it had to make, if you look at the larger picture, step back. Look at the larger picture. They were necessary to my point. So I won't show them again unless you ask. Let me go to Jaime out of Minnesota. Welcome to the show, Jaime.
Hey, how you doing, Joel?
All is well. How are you?
That's good. All is well.
Nice.
Hey, the my wife and I went and visited her sister,
Okay.
and we talk about anger and emotions sometimes together.
Yeah.
And the point of a woman's or monthly, her period came up, and how that can affect her emotions because of all the
yeah.
hormones and things that go through them,
Yeah.
and how that can make things more difficult for the woman to overcome.
Yeah.
But my wife's sister told me to think about a woman's period. It's like the seasons. You have a winter, a spring, a summer, then a fall, and that's every. The first week would be the winter.
Okay.
Where everything's kind of dying and everything. But my wife also said that she listened to a book written by some female scientists on that cycle, and that each week a woman needs something different. Like needs to be held, or 1 week, or needs to be in a group setting another week, or needs to be left alone another week.
Okay. And where's all this coming from?
Some book she read.
Oh, okay.
We were just talking about it.
Okay, go ahead.
And what do you think of that?
Well,
because the men they don't have that, so we don't have to think about that kind of stuff, right?
Right. Well, to be honest, the men are just left to fend for themselves. Why these books are made for women to like get a better grip on life. But here, the thing is that I realize is that these things have happened because of a curse, because of Eve and the whole thing. But these things aren't meant to be catered to. They're meant to be endured, right? We have to deal with it. And I feel like there's always like a remedy, and women tend to have this pretty bad, is that there's always like this mama like heroic rescue type of approach that women tend to take on these things to try to save people from pain, instead of figuring out how to live through it and endure through it. So what these things are is that like they seem to, this book and stuff like this book seems to cater to this monthly cycle to help ease the pain of this, instead of, and which actually makes people complain more, which makes women complain more, which actually makes them seek for this like escape of feelings, or to, you better understand, husband, or you better understand, boyfriend, that during this time I'm different, I'm a different person. But instead of like learning how to endure that, or learning how to accept that that's just a moment that has to pass, but also learning not to give into that. And I feel like those books are made to draw importance and cater to the women during those moments. That's what I think.
Interesting.
Does that make sense? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that's why the evil comes through the woman, because of all these hormones going through and everything, and they're just not overcoming those things.
Right. So, did your wife feed into it?
No, we talk about it, and we just had a baby a while ago, and she was more emotional during those times. But during the day-to-day, she's not as emotional as when we first met.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know how the monthlies come into that.
I also don't think that it's necessarily wrong in those certain, like, we don't have to be so like men don't have to be so like barbaric about it, meaning like, you better suck it up and get over it, and this is life. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to, be there, or, show love, or a little bit of comfort, or even play into the ego a little bit. Like, I don't think that that's sinful. I just think that we shouldn't cater to it. And like, for example, like the book is saying that like, well, you better make sure you hug her, like as if this is a ritual that must be done during these times. But it's
and I
not
don't know if
wrong.
the book said that. That's what my wife said,
Oh,
how
I
she was
see.
describing it to me. But
Yeah.
I guess I see a point that you're kind of, I don't know if you're getting to the point, and this might be it, because I'm reading it from you, that if it's a hormonal thing, that's fine. That's just something to take care of. But if it's an ego thing, then you don't cater to that.
Well, I think they're
that
both.
There's a way that you can decipher the two.
Well, I kind of think
Is that what you mean?
Well, I kind of think that they both play into each other, but no, I don't even think that you should even. I don't even think it's super necessary to just try to exhaust the ego, meaning like totally try to make her die from the ego, like kill her ego for her. I don't think that's like, I think it's okay here and there to, you know, be involved in it a little bit. But the problem to me, if I'm making sense here, is to where it becomes a ritual that we cater. It becomes a ritual that we understand it's the monthly cycle, that we have to make sure that we're on our best behavior because mom has an attitude. Like, it shouldn't be like that to where you're constantly having to watch it. But every once in a while, it's okay to understand, well, mama's going to have a little bit of an attitude because of this. And you work with that. But you don't like accept it as the norm, as like, this is how we need to live. No, because it's just a thing. It's not of good. It's just a thing. We don't cater to it. We learn how to overcome it. But you know what I mean? If I'm making sense, like, it's okay. We don't have to be so tough about it, but we also don't need to give into it.
All right. Yeah, it doesn't make quite much sense to me. It is Greek. Women, they are from Venus, and what they say about that is they're complicated.
Yeah, there's a balance. Really, what I'm saying is that there's a balance there that's necessary to where it can work for both people, and I think that's okay to allow to happen. But I got to get to these other calls, and I'm only on an hour schedule here. But any last comments there, Jaime, before
No,
I move on?
that is it. Have a good day.
I appreciate it, Jaime. Thank you. I don't know if my point was, I don't know. It was in my mind and I was struggling trying to get it out, so maybe it didn't make sense. But let me go to a lady. Maybe she can clear it up. Flor out of Guatemala is on the line. Flor, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hi, Joel. How are you?
All is well, Flor. How are you?
I am doing fantastic.
Nice.
I want to say something about the period talk.
Okay, yeah,
Since we are in it.
Feel free.
Guys should not treat us as special. Like, we shouldn't have a princess treatment. To me, it sounds like a princess treatment when we're on our period. Like, we women should be glad that we have it. That means that we're healthy. We're fertile. It has many positive things. Yes, it's not fun. It's not fun, but that's not an excuse to be a princess.
Right.
That's just how I see it. Men shouldn't be suffering because we are having our natural process of being a woman.
Right. And go ahead. Finish your point. You go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm done with that point. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say is that, like, that's a perfect word to put it, is that, like, it shouldn't be, these books aren't made to treat the woman like the princess, and I don't encourage that at all. There's nobody should be treated in the special way. Plus, because it also doesn't help like I said, the woman endure that and deal with it. But the guy also doesn't have to be like, well, stop acting like a little, you know what I mean? Like, he can understand the situation and work with that, opposed to catering to her is the point I'm trying to make. So
exactly, it's not like we become handicapped, but this woman from like this new generation, they're like, oh my God, I have my period, please, like, bow to me when I come in. It's like, don't do that.
Right.
Just don't. It's just painful. Like, it's literally a pain for seconds, and then you go back to normality, and it happens throughout the day. And we have been able to live like that for hundreds of years, and we're fine.
Right. Do you think it makes it worse? I'll let you get to your other point, but do you think it makes it worse when guys try to cater to it? Like it makes the girl even more mad?
Well, no, it doesn't. It just makes you feel like you're a child.
Oh, okay. There you go.
You know, it's a bad habit that you could impose on a woman, and then she will just become very childlike. That's how I see it.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Oh, I appreciate it. Well, go ahead, Flora. You can get to your other part, your other topic.
Yeah. So the other point was about what you were saying, women addicted to the attention and then addicted to the sex, you know?
Yeah, the control.
I think that you're right, and I think that this has to do a lot with feminism. If you look at, there was a generation between 1920s and 50s, and even the beginning of the 60s, before this hippie era happened, and the feminists, that women were very modest, you know, and I'm not saying that there were no cheating, and I mean, of course, that has happened a lot, but not as much as it is nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So back in the day when feminists started bringing up what is the birth control talk into the universities, the first year that happened in high schools, the likelihood of women, I think that's how you say that word, sorry, my English is not perfect.
Oh, you're good.
But women wouldn't have pregnancies in school, like that was actually seen bad, you know, like it was like, oh, you know, she's pregnant. Right. And the year after the first group of feminists who started induce the idea of birth control, the year later, I think it was triple the amount of girls, because these are girls, were pregnant, you know, and it's since feminism came in, women think that they can be like men, that they can act like men, and then they get mad because they realize that if you're exposing yourself as just, and I'm sorry, but like as a sex toy, that's how men are going to treat you like.
Yeah.
Right? And I completely agree.
But the thing
I
is...
agree. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say really quick to add to that point is that the thing is that in our minds, the guys are just thinking like, oh, okay, well, you're putting that out. So that means that you're giving out what we think that we want. So we're just putting the two and two together and we're thinking like it's all good. But then when we approach it that way, then the girls are like, I'm not a hoe. I'm not. And then it's like, well, wait, I thought you were. You done put this all out there on the computer. But go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, I completely agree. I have seen these days, like, we don't have this in Guatemala, but I hear in America this new, like, question, like, what's your body count? Like, I was like, what do people mean by that? Like, are you killing somebody? Or, but now I know it means how many people have you slept with.
Right.
And, you know, I hear girls being like, oh, 80, 100, 300. And I'm like, how do you expect men to respect you?
Right.
But as a woman, I can tell you you're completely right. And we women are completely addicted to have control over men.
Yeah.
And this era has taught us women that the way that you can have control is through sex with men.
Yes.
You know, and we have to be honest. Like, I'm a woman and I'm being honest about it. And that's something that we have to be aware of so we can change it.
And this is why it's so true, Flora. And this is why women tend to gain that control, is because guys we get so blinded by the feeling of this desire that we're willing almost to do anything. The guys who are really asleep, right? They're willing almost to do anything to get it. And in the guy's simple mind, he just wants what he wants. But the girl's she's not so much driven by that like blinding desire. She knows that she just wants to control. So she's actually not like hooked by this sexual attention. So she's able to control it because she just wants to, that's what she's looking for, is that control. So she knows how to do it, and they end up doing it, and guys end up looking crazy. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why marriages nowadays are failing so much, because if women are just, again, they're trying to be men and think like men, and instead of being modest and just, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being sexy, but if you can just focus yourself on being sexy for your husband, just for one person, it's a lot more rewarding than for multiple men. And they take pieces of you, like they take, you're giving yourself out over and over and over again. And then when you meet the one, what do you have to offer?
Right. You know what, Flora? And I wanted to get your thought really quick, and then I got to move the calls here. I think that the feminist thing is a big part that had to do with it, like the indoctrination of women being liberated by doing what they want, and they don't have to be in the home. Like, I do agree that there, but to take it a little bit deeper, I think it has to do with like the home, because the women, I find that, and I want you to let me know what you think. I find that men do it, this whole sex thing, looking for the mother's love, real love that's supposed to come from a mother who's, right. And then women tend to be looking for attention from the father. So they manifest it as an attention for, the perverted way for men, but they really are seeking for validation and attention from the father that they didn't get. So I find that it's the men seeking the mother's love and the women seeking the father's attention. What do you think?
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Me as a woman, like I always looked for, like, the love that we women have towards our mother. It's completely different when we have towards our father. Like when we are kids, we see our father with this like eyes, like we see them handsome and funny, and we base ourselves on that towards the future. But that's so important too, to disattach yourself from your mother and your father, so you can find your own person, right? Or what you actually need. Yeah, I agree with you.
100%, Flora. Yeah, and it's nice to hear, ladies like yourself, which we all got our things that we're still working on, but ladies like yourself who are, being honest and, working on themselves, but trying to make sense of things, but also who are married and have, they're in, have husbands who I'm sure are doing the right thing and really trying to make it work for the children. It's amazing to see, and I appreciate your calls, even on the Hake Show and all across the JLP network. So I appreciate the call, Flora.
I appreciate you, Joel. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one. Call me again.
You do too. Bye.
All right. Bye. Nice. Let me get a guy's perspective, and then we'll get back to some more ladies. Let me go to Gray out of California. Gray, welcome to the show, man. How's it going?
What's up, Joe? I'm chilling, man. I'm happy Ryan Garcia won.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Nice.
Yeah, man. Still buzzing off that. That was a great fight. But no, I just wanted to get something off my chest. It's kind of a little bit off topic, but in the same realm. So
nice.
I'm a filmmaker, so I make a lot of things with film, and I upload to Instagram. But what I've realized is like you said, Instagram is filled with, women in bikinis,
bodies,
and showing their bodies off. Yeah, and I started to realize, I was like, man, I get no love. And I make great things, but I'm not getting no love. And it hit me, and I was thinking, it's probably because it's the same analogy of uploading something onto like a porn website. Like nobody is watching film on a porn website.
That's not what they're going there for.
Right. So no one is going to Instagram.
That's a good point.
For film.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
So my question is, where do I go from here?
Well, I realize that, like, when it comes to social media, is finding the niche of what these sites like and doing your best to keep your standard, your beliefs, but being able to do it in such a way to where it makes sense to the algorithms of Instagram. Like, for example, I learned that Instagram loves comedic things. That's their number one thing. Now, obviously, they love the sexual stuff, the attention, but they love it to be entertaining for the most part. So comedy tends to do really well on Instagram. And I find that even if you're controversial, even if you're inappropriate, even if you're sexual, as long as there's some type of comedy twist in there, the algorithms love it. So I learned with Instagram, comedic things is like the undertone. Now, TikTok, I'm not 100% sure about, but I know on TikTok, a lot of the things tend to be women-based or dance-based. But TikTok has kind of like different rules. You can kind of do a lot more and get away with a lot more because it's still kind of more underground. But it's just finding the what's the word? The what the algorithms like on these certain platforms and just doing your best to work with that.
Okay, so you will have to cater to Instagram, basically.
Cater to what Instagram wants. And if humor is one of the main things, you can do humor in a good way. You can do humor in a positive way or whatever. It doesn't have to be straight, dirty, raunchy, that type of stuff.
Okay, yeah, I was pondering on that. I'm just like, man, I upload so much stuff. Even like with friends of mine, like they won't like my stuff. They don't share it.
Yeah.
But sure enough, I go on the Explore page and they're liking and commenting on all these girls' things, like. And no hate to the girls. Like, get it while you can. It's that era, and that's fine. And for the most part, these girls, they're not mean-hearted or anything. They just, they're models. They do what they do, and I respect it. But it's like, how do we compete? Like,
you can't. And that's the thing is that like the people's eye, that's what people are into at the end of the day. And this is the reason why the girls are getting away with it, because back then, like maybe MySpace or something, there was certain like criteria or like certain standards you have. You couldn't have like a bra showing or stuff like that. It was it was a problem. But now, because that's what the people want, the standards have dropped, and that's just the reality, man.
Yeah, that sucks for us. People who are, make music, they do this. It's not what people want, And you're right, you got to find that target audience, and I've tried, but it's just crazy. I'm kind of like in the middle of nowhere right now with that, like just thinking about that right now.
Well, things always change too, man. Things, nothing is new underneath the sun, so things are always going to change, and there's going to be a time where Christians or even people who really are trying to do the right thing, we're going to have a moment too to where we'll be able to make our impact. So it's just being patient, and God's going to guide the way, I believe.
All right. That's all I got, bro.
Well, I appreciate it, Gray. I always appreciate the commentary.
Yeah, I try to call in whenever I get a chance. I'll be working, but I'm always listening, bro. I'm always not in the chat so much, but I'm always listening for sure.
All right, on, man. Well, have a good one. Call me again.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
All right. Nice. I'm gonna move the calls, but I'm gonna say this quick thing is that women and men are both lost, broken people. And that's why I realized, and I'm learning that, look, I'm working on this myself too. I find myself caught up in these silly things, right? I'm aware of it, and sometimes I go unconscious, and that's just part of my process. I don't know what it's like for anybody else, but it's more so when you understand, and like I said, I'm learning it, is that this is why we're not supposed to resent anybody. Because I realized over the weekend as well, even though I kind of knew, but sometimes it's nice to get reminded, is that when you resent, just think about it. When you resent anybody have anger or hatred or resentment to anybody, the first thing you do is you demonize. It happens every single time. You demonize. You make that person's issues to be far worse than anybody else's issues, right? And you no longer look at them as a normal human being. And what that does is that takes the eyes off of you, right? And that's why when we look at these women who are out there, we've all done it, I've done it, and we're looking at them, it's so easy to want to call them out. and judge it and do all these things, right? And it doesn't mean you don't discern what it is, but it's so easy to want to just be like, what's wrong with you? Get it together. Are you crazy? Right? But Satan is the culprit. Right? Satan is the deceiver. The battle is not against flesh and blood, right? But against spirits and principalities. Satan is the one tricking the mind, right? Just think about the evil that you've done. It doesn't feel evil when you're doing it. It don't feel evil, and you don't feel like a demon. But people are looking at you because they're judging you like a demon, right? But you don't feel that way. You just feel like, oh, shoot, this feels good. This is nice. This is fun. Blind. It's a blind person. It's blind. Blinded by the feeling. Blinded by the ego. But when you really know, and if a person who really knows what they're doing and they can really see, they're not doing it. The real person, the real self, is not into those things. But we're all lost, confused, and jacked up, trying to get it together. So that's why it's wrong to resent. Let me go to Rachel out of Minnesota. Rachel, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hi, Joel.
How's it going?
I heard that you were talking about periods and emotions and the stuff that's around that.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of research on that. I've got some health issues when it comes to that stuff, so that's why I did. But
yeah.
I read this book about, there was a study done on women over like 10 or 20 year period. They discovered that healthier women were women who, like, it had to do with the cycle of the period. People think that the period is the one time, but it's all the way through the month. You have that one time. It's more like seasons. The first week, women are supposed to work, get things done, be active. The second week, they're supposed to socialize, be with people. And the third week, they're supposed to rest and rely on other people to take care of them. And the fourth week is the week that they're supposed to be apart from people. And that's just the overall summary. It goes into more detail, but I just wanted to share about that because when birth control came in, it just threw that whole thing off. And for a woman to be healthy, she needs to, and most women don't know this, you really have to dig it out, but also the hormone levels change, and that's why it should be that way because, within reason, don't misunderstand. Right. You got to work, you got to live your life, but you got to be aware of where you're at. Where a woman has to be aware of where she's at emotionally.
Well, just because of time here, let me ask, do you find that to do work for you, like following that,
yes,
that weekly thing? And why does it,
yep,
and why does that work for you?
Well, I have PCOS, which is a hormonal imbalance, which leads to diabetes.
Okay.
I don't have diabetes yet, but and I found the prescriptions and stuff don't really work for me, so I have to take a more natural route.
Yeah. And
I've learned that I'm more settled and more secure in myself.
Yeah.
And I'm less emotional, and and when I am emotional, which is really important, I can think back at where I am at and be like, oh, that's why. But I'll tell you, I don't know anybody else who knows this stuff about these cycles and stuff. But it takes me back to, old Jewish law, where they said a woman should be apart from the group at that time of the month. And then there's all these laws about, and there's so much shame wrapped around it. Like a lot of people think, oh, they did that because women are lesser or whatever. And a lot of people, I think, have taken it that way. But I think it's more, no, that's the natural progression of the way a woman needs to take care of herself. I mean, in an ideal world.
Interesting. I've never heard of it put that way, but I'm not here to discredit it. But let me ask,
Right.
Outside of this 4-week thing that you do, how is your health in general? Like your diet? How do you eat? Do you exercise? Are you healthy for the most part outside of doing these things?
Well, I was in a really bad car accident when I was a kid, and I was in and out of hospitals and surgeries throughout high school. So I've always been kind of a sickly person, if you could say that. But
okay.
I am the healthiest I've ever been, and I'm a pretty healthy person, I would say, as far as lifestyle and diet and so on, because I have to be.
Okay. So you do tend to just do your best to keep up with your health and fitness and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say oftentimes, like, we do these things, these weekly things to, like the monthly cycle example that you're saying is like following these things oftentimes because we have to make up for what we're not doing on a daily basis. So when these cycles do hit, they hit hard because our bodies are all jacked up in the first place. But if it seems like you're living a lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, and to where you're doing okay and it makes sense for you, then just do what you continue to do. And like
right.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say though that it's hard to see. I mean, for myself, I see women get really emotional and really and knowing these things now, I can look at it and go, oh, that I bet she doesn't know this, and she's here or there, And then the other point I wanted to make too was that when a woman has a baby,
15 seconds, then I got to end the show. But
okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
When a woman has a baby, she loses so much chemicals and hormones that she has to make up for it. And a lot of times, women just keep having babies and they're not replenishing it.
Oh,
and it causes more emotion and a more imbalance.
Interesting.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, I appreciate it. Hold on, I'm sorry. One second. I don't want to. Rachel, sorry, I didn't want to get it wrong. I appreciate it. And if that information was helpful to the ladies, I wouldn't know.
I know. I just thought.
But if it's helpful to the ladies, I appreciate you coming on here and sharing it. Maybe it's helpful for some folks. But call me again, Rachel. Yeah. Thank you, and have a good one. Okay.
You too. Thank you.
All right, no problem. I gotta go, folks. You know yourself, and you got to know yourself. You got to know what your body needs. You don't need no doctor to tell you what your body needs. You don't need anybody to tell you what your body needs. If these things that the experts come up with help you, and you see that they help you, then more power to it. But we shouldn't blindly just be following things because they say to follow them. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the experts will kill you because they don't really know what they're talking about all the time. So I got to end. American Anchor Baby's coming in. Appreciate chat, IG, and YouTube. Amazing stuff. We're back here tomorrow, and we got another show coming up tomorrow. I got to go, guys. Until next time, Joel Friday TV across the board. Bye.